What exactly will it take for Marvel to realise that their SJW characters and stories just do not sell? Riri Williams, America Chavez, female Thor, fucking Squirrel Girl? The fuck is this shit? And Captain America turning out to be a Nazi all along? No wonder comic book sales are going down the shitter. But let's take a look at what planted this disgustingly toxic seed in the first place. Articles like this. Comic book women with realistic bodies are the heroines we need, by Kavan foreign name. Yes, comic book heroines are supposed to have powers that are out of this world, but the illustrations of their bodies could definitely be brought down to earth. A creative team working with Bulimia.com, a website dedicated to providing information and support systems to those struggling with eating disorders, decided to transform covers of comic books depicting popular female and male characters to give our favourite heroes more realistic bodies. Instead of figures with huge breasts, impossibly small waists and disproportioned thighs, they gave characters like DC Comics' Catwoman and Marvel's Black Widow more practical bodies. The team was inspired by BuzzFeed's edited illustrations of Disney's princesses with realistic waistlines. BuzzFeed needs to die in a fucking fire. We didn't intend this project to be a commentary on whether or not comic books send the wrong message about body image, a representative with Bulimia.com told the Huffington Post in an email Tuesday. Rather, our hope is to show the extent to which superheroes' body types, as is the case with their superhuman abilities, are fictional. No shit, Sherlock! Our hope is that when viewers see these superheroes visualized in such a manner they can identify with, and may feel better about themselves and realize the futility of any comparison between themselves and the fictional universe of Marvel and DC Comics. And it shows these Photoshop versions with bigger bellies and more flab. And what the hell have they done to Iron Man? It's an iron suit, for fuck's sake! He's not going to turn up to fight a supervillain wearing what looks like pyjamas, is he? And the work someone did to gaming characters is even worse. It's just terrible, fit-shaming, body positivity propaganda. Well, I've got some really bad news for you. Photoshopping female superheroes to be more pudgy to make you feel better ain't gonna cure bulimia or anorexia. What comes to my mind is when I see shit like this, is that the artist is a salty, sour cunt who's just pissed off at the world because they don't have the perfect body. And that's pretty much it. The fact is, it would be unrealistic for these characters to have a few extra rolls of fat, since they have to be in perfect shape to do their jobs. They have to fight bad guys ranging from everyday street thugs to supervillains to demigods. So it's even more retarded to see shit like this monstrosity. Faith is an awesome crime-stopping superhero under the secret identity Zephyr. Ha! More like Zeppelin. She can fly, perform telekinesis, so she doesn't have to get up a fat ass when she wants a dozen donuts and gallon of milkshake, no less. And oh yeah, she just happens to be plus size. Wow, I'd never have guessed that. Faith has always been plus size from the very beginning, and that was the genius of the creators. The original Valiant officers were about 50% female, some of them looked like Faith, and they looked around and wanted to create something that reflected the world that they see when they looked into the mirror. Okay, all jokes aside for a moment. If you're carrying a few extra pounds, or even a couple of extra stone, that's fine. Not everyone can have an athlete's physique. It takes more will, determination than the average human has, not to mention strict diet and exercise. However, if you look in the mirror and see this Faith character staring back at you, then you're obese or coming close to it. So in that case, you should rethink your lifestyle and change a few things in your diet, and at least try to get a bit of exercise. And now that Hauser is giving Faith her own story, she wants to emphasize that Faith will always be a superhero first, who just happens to be plus size. Her size has never been portrayed as an issue. Just wait until she comes up against her arch nemesis, the tower block with no lift, just stairs. Or anything that other people really have a problem with. Hauser tells People, it's definitely not something she has a problem with. She's very comfortable with herself. I'm not going to ignore her size, but I don't want it to be a big issue or a big plotline with her. And I think it would be out of character to make it that. Not even diabetes. What about if she has to run? Or does she just do all the superhero work online by boning alt-right trolls on Twitter? Maybe she's one of those YouTube heroes. Please don't flag my content. I've been hearing from women who are in their 20s and 30s and 40s who have been reading comics for decades who have never seen a woman on the cover of a comic that looks like them, she says. And I think that makes people feel like they're more welcome in comics. And this is a medium for them, when maybe they've always loved comics, but they haven't felt welcome before is a huge thing. Interesting. They say they've never seen a woman on the cover that looks like them, but they're still not going to buy it, are they? Because it looks fucking boring. I'm sure a lot of male comic book readers don't have bodies like Captain America, Superman or Thor either. But it's not stopped them buying the comics since 1938, has it? However, the decision makers at Marvel's don't seem to realise this. Instead of caring about what the long-standing solid customers want, they listen to the loud minority of social justice warriors and fourth-wave feminists and started making comics in their image. So the first of many big mistakes was to make Thor a woman. Not only that, but to then berate their own audience through the comics by making her fight male misogynists that point out that a female Thor makes no sense. Basically telling everyone that if you think Thor cannot be a woman, then you're a sexist piece of shit that has more in common with the villains. Then there's a replacement for Iron Man, Riri Williams, otherwise known as Ironheart. She's a complete Mary Sue. For those of you who don't know what a Mary Sue is, well, it's an idealised and seemingly perfect fictional character with absolutely no flaws. They're usually found in terrible fan fictions. So Riri is a 15-year-old black girl who is apparently the smartest human alive or some shit like that. She got accepted into MIT and built her first suit from old Iron Man parts. Stolen Iron Man parts. So when Tony Stark fell into a coma, she decided to take his place as the new Iron Man, and guided by an AI based on Tony Stark as some kind of mentor. Except instead of it having the personality of Tony Stark, as we all know can be brash, self-centered, egotistical, and sometimes, well, a bit of a dick. You'd expect it to be a real hard-ass when it comes to his protege, pointing out mistakes and forcing Riri to rethink certain strategies and such. But no, this AI is the complete opposite, throwing compliment after compliment onto her, and constant words of encouragement and emotionally validating every task she does. Cake knows what she'd do if she wasn't reminded of how amazing she is all the time. But really, all I see is some virtue signalling by the comic book writers. Hey look, we made this new superhero, she's a young black girl. Aren't we so progressive? Listen very carefully. Nobody cares! And then there's Squirrel Girl, who, by all accounts, isn't exactly a serious character to begin with. I first came into contact with her back in 2011, during the Fear Itself event. Admittedly, she's not the most interesting character, but hardly a bad one either. A little ditzy, but that's just a quirk. You can't expect all mutants to have the same serious, constantly on-the-ball logical thinking personality, can you? Still, she's quick, agile, and for the most part, can even hold her own against Wolverine when sparring. But no, SJW had to fuck her up and turn her into some stupid, dumb, pudgy, Down syndrome-looking airhead. Seriously, what the fuck? No one wants to read this shit. Marvel are pandering to the Tumblrinas who reblog all the body positivity nonsense, and will share the pictures of characters like Squirrel Girl and Zephyr. But they're not going to buy the comics. So at the same time, they're alienating the actual comic buying public because they're tired of all the identity politics. So about this whole myth that females in movies, comic books and video games have idealised perfect bodies that give girls in the real world a negative body image. It's a lot easier to debunk without having to go through case studies or long-winded surveys. Instead, we'll look at somewhere where you can choose what you want to look like. Where you can have the body that you want. And I know just the place. Second Life. For anyone who doesn't know what Second Life is, well, you're looking at it right now. My little corner of hell is right now in Second Life. It's an online 3D community where everything you see is created by its residents. Kinda like Minecraft, but for grown-ups. Also, you can choose your own avatar to look how you want it to look. It can look like this, or this. No, don't look at that! Or this. So you get the idea. So here's a few random snapshots of females you'll see all over the place. Notice how they're more or less the sizes and shapes that most people would say are ideal. Very rarely you'll come across someone who chooses to be a plus-size avatar. Okay, one argument is that there could be men in real life, which I know some do turn out to be males. However, a lot that I can confirm are actual real-life females. The voice is usually solid enough proof, and speaking to them on camera, even more so. And do you really think they all have perfect bodies in real life? Of course not. Still, they choose how they want their avatar to look. I've met people on here with more mental illnesses that would make your average Tumblr blogger envious, yet still have an attractive avatar. A few of them I've met even identify as feminists. So surely they'd want to look like Big Red or Trigglypuff, right? Wrong. So the whole myth about women with perfect bodies in comics and video games destroys real-life women's self-esteem is just absolute bullshit. So cancerous media outlets like BuzzFeed and the Huffington Post are just way off the mark. So the Marvel execs and writers, well, they need to stop reading dumb articles by them. Stop! Just stop! And listen to your fucking readers! So until next time, have a great day.